Beyond the Silence, the Eastbound Strangler, Atlantic City Murders. Today, we're heading to the outskirts of Atlantic City, New Jersey, back to the fall of 2006, a time when the city's neon lights couldn't hide the darkness lurking just beyond the boardwalk. On November 20th, two women were walking behind the old Golden Key Motel. What they stumbled upon would haunt the city for years to come. There, in a drainage ditch, they found the body of Kim Raffo, face down in shallow, grimy water. The police arrived, and within hours, 3 more bodies were discovered: Barbara Brador, Molly Diltz, and Tracy Ann Roberts. 4 women, all found in a row, all laid face down, their heads pointed east toward the city. It was a scene that would earn the unknown killer a chilling nickname: the Eastbound Strangler. Welcome to Beyond the Silence, Whispers Across America. I'm Sammy, your host, driven to shine light on the dark corners of forgotten cases, demand justice, and keep alive the voices the world has tried to silence. Today we step into the chilling mystery of the Eastbound Strangler, the Atlantic City Murders. Now I gotta say, the details here are they stick with you. All 4 women were fully clothed, but their shoes and socks were missing. They were spaced out about 60 feet apart, and the way they were positioned, arms stretched out, heads facing east, it's almost ritualistic. The killer, whoever they are, took their time. They tried to keep the bodies hidden, anchoring them to the side of the ditch, hoping the water and the elements would erase the evidence. But as we know, secrets like this don't stay buried forever. The city was in shock. Atlantic City's always had its shadows, but this was something else, a serial killer, right in their backyard. Let's talk about the women whose lives were stolen. These weren't just names in a headline. They were daughters, mothers, friends. Kim Raffo was 35, originally from Brooklyn. She moved to Atlantic City with her boyfriend in 2003, looking for a fresh start. She had 2 kids, and at one point she was even part of the PTA down in Florida. But life got tough. She struggled with substance abuse, and like so many, she was just trying to get her life back on track. Her friend John Pesci said she was trying to get her life together, but she couldn't get away. That just hits you, doesn't it? Then there's Barbara Brador, 42. She worked as a cocktail waitress at the casinos, helped her mom with her clothing store, and was known for being there for her family. But she was also a victim of domestic violence. And after her father died, she started self-medicating with drugs. Her sister Francine told 48 Hours. She ended up self-medicating herself with drugs. At the time of her death, Barbara had a 9-year-old daughter. That's a whole life left behind. Tracy Ann Roberts was just 23. She grew up in Delaware, trained to be a medical assistant, and had only recently moved to Atlantic City. Like the others, she struggled with addiction. She was described as a really nice, pretty young person that had her whole future ahead of her. Her murder left her daughter without a mother. I mean, it's just heartbreaking. And then there's Molly Diltz, the youngest at 20. She grew up in Blacklick, Pennsylvania, a blue-collar mining town. Her uncle, Steve Taylor, said she was a warm and loving, caring kid. She had a lot of good to spread to the world, and it's just a shame that she won't be able to do that. Molly's mother had died young, and her brother had also passed away before her. She had a tattoo of an English bulldog, which is how investigators identified her. For everything she'd been through, her uncle said she came out pretty damned well. That's the thing. These women had stories, struggles, and people who loved them. They deserved better. So let's dig into the crime scene itself, because this is where things get really strange. All 4 women were found in that drainage ditch behind the Golden Key Motel, right off the Black Horse Pike. The killer didn't just dump the bodies, he arranged them. Each woman was placed face down, heads pointed east, arms stretched out and spaced apart. Their feet were bare, and their shoes and socks were missing. It's almost like the killer wanted to send a message, or maybe it was just part of his ritual. I mean, I'm not a profiler, but that kind of detail, it's not random. The autopsies showed that two of the women, Roberts and Raffo, died from asphyxiation, likely strangulation. But for Dilts and Brydor, their bodies were so badly decomposed that the cause of death couldn't be determined. They'd been there the longest. The killer used the water to his advantage. Trying to wash away evidence, and the longer the bodies stayed hidden, the harder it was for investigators to piece things together. It's frustrating, honestly. The police believed the killer lured these women from the city's red light district out to Egg Harbor, where he killed and disposed of them. And the way the bodies were anchored, it's like he wanted to keep them out of sight for as long as possible. There's also the question of why these women. Most of them were sex workers, and as grim as it is, that made them more vulnerable. They were easy to approach, easy to get into a car, and if they went missing, sometimes no one reported it right away. That's a pattern we see in so many serial cases, and it's infuriating. These women mattered, and their lives shouldn't have been seen as disposable. Now, you might be wondering, did the police have any suspects? Well, they did, but nothing ever stuck. There was Terry Olson, a repairman who was staying at the Golden Key Motel for free in exchange for doing repairs. His girlfriend implicated him during a domestic dispute, and police found cameras and some pretty disturbing images in his room. But, and this is important, there was no DNA evidence linking him to the murders, and he was never officially named a suspect. Then there was Eldred Raymond Burchell, who called himself the Riverman. Maybe a nod to the Green River Killer? He apparently confessed to another sex worker that he'd killed people, but again, nothing concrete tied him to the case. There were a couple of other guys, Charles Coles, a drug dealer and friend of one of the victims, and Mark Hesse, who knew two of the women. Both were questioned and released, so basically a lot of leads, but no answers. And then there's the theory that maybe this was connected to the Gilgo Beach murders in Long Island. Both cases involved sex workers, both had victims found in remote, watery areas, and both had bodies arranged in a certain way. But after a lot of back and forth, law enforcement has said there's no official link. Even after the arrest of Rex Hoyerman in the Gilgo Beach case, police in New Jersey and New York compared notes, timelines, and methods, and they just couldn't make the connection. All the initial suspects in Atlantic City have been ruled out, and the Gilgo Beach killer would have had to travel over 150 miles to commit these murders. So, as of now, the Eastbound Strangler remains a ghost. Nearly 2 decades later, the Eastbound Strangler case is still cold. There's a $25,000 reward out there for information, but no one's come forward. The police aren't talking, the leads have dried up, and the families are left with nothing but questions. Investigators have said they believe the killer knew Atlantic City well. Maybe someone who was trafficking the victims, or someone who moved in those circles. But without new evidence, it's all just speculation. What really gets me is how the city itself has changed. The Golden Key Motel is gone, demolished years ago, but the memory of what happened there lingers. The sex worker community in Atlantic City still faces the same dangers, and the women who were lost in 2006 are still waiting for justice. Their families, their friends, they deserve answers. And honestly, so does the city. This isn't just a story about a serial killer. It's about the people left behind, the lives interrupted, and the silence that follows when justice isn't served. So that's where we are. 4 women, 1 killer, and a city still searching for the truth. If you know something, anything about this case, there's still a reward, and there are still people hoping for closure. That's it for today's episode. The questions remain, and the search continues, because every lost soul deserves answers, and every story deserves to be heard. What are your thoughts? What do you believe happened? Share your voice, because sometimes the smallest detail can spark the biggest breakthrough. I'm Sammy, and this is Beyond the Silence, Whispers Across America. Thank you for listening. Stay safe, and I'll see you next time.